My people, Captain Ibrahim Traore. How does it make you feel? How do you feel when you hear that name, Ibrahim Traore? Does it make you? Does it make you feel? Yeah, make you. He's a great guy. Yeah, 36 years old, doing great for his country. This man right here, handsome, strong, mentally strong, amazing. And the good thing one of the things that I really, really like, I'm in a very beautiful place. Yeah, I can't show you right now, but I will show you. You know, I'm just looking like I can see the sea over there. It's just beautiful. Anyway, let's get back on track. Ibrahim Traore is doing a tremendous job in his country. President of the Republic of Burkina Faso. Here's a map. You know, here we learn geography. I know a lot of people don't know geography, but it's okay. I got you. Burkina Faso, one of the most amazing places in Africa. Very hot, but beautiful people. Ibrahim Traore is doing something very, very interesting. What is he doing? He's building brand new schools. Why is he building schools? His promise to his people was like, okay, no area of Burkina Faso will be schoolless. So he's going to make sure every little simple area or complex place in the country will have decent school.
That is why I would urge you to go all out so that we can establish these elite schools, so that these talented individuals do not end up going abroad. Because for a long time, imperialists have always drawn talent from here through scholarships. Once they are home, they do not return to the country. I do not want these brains that are here to end up abroad and not serve our country. Make sure that these initiatives succeed and that we can establish the polytechnic and technological universities we need so that these children can express all their talents and work for the benefit of our homeland.
So right now he's working on schools for preschool children, okay, where the kids are going to learn many things, including English. Okay, I understand. I know a lot of you you don't see English special, but some African people find it special, especially people that speak in French, French-speaking African countries. Learning English for them is like an extra language. It's a bit like you're getting an opportunity to learn an extra language, maybe French. You feel like, I can speak English. That's some word of French. Now, you want to start doing this in preschool. Now, the beautiful thing about this is what? You also want to teach children a certain level of mentality. It's like educating children about patriotism from childhood, from primary school, from preschool. So in Burkina Faso, Captain Traore is determined to make education accessible to all. To this end, the commune of Kempti and Galgouli, located in southwest region of Burkina Faso, will soon host two early learning preschool education center, CEEP. According to Burkina Faso Information Agency, the head of the basic education district of the commune of Kempti and his inspector recently met the parents of the student of that commune. So he's pulled money together instead of spending it in, women and stuff. That's what most presidents in Africa do. I'm sorry, tell you the truth. Especially, this is a young man. I mean, he's 38 years old, 36 years old, sorry. Just imagine you come out of nowhere as a captain in the army of Africa, then you become president. Like you're catapulted into being president and you have all this money and access to that. Many African presidents, unfortunately, jump into the hole. He doesn't. You know what he did? He said, I don't want your money. I want you to pay me as a captain. That's all I want. I'm a soldier. I don't want to do politics. I want everybody in my country to profit from what we can produce. We don't need to get things from Europe anymore. We can produce them ourselves. He builds a plant of tomato, producing tomato. Burkina Faso produces a lot of tomato. And usually they will send it to France. Then France will process it, put it in boxes, then send it back to you to buy as tomato paste. Imagine that. You producing the tomato, it has to go to Europe to be processed, then sell back to you at an expensive price. He said, no more. That's the man we're dealing with. So the good thing about this, these children will be learning patriotism. They'll be learning to love the country, learning to love Africa from childhood. Exactly what the Chinese are doing to the Chinese. Isn't this great? Well, let's clap. Let's clap. Now, fellas, we are going to Egypt. Okay, here's Egypt. You can see where the pharaohs are and stuff like that. They've told you that the Egyptians are white. Well, history shows that Egyptians in Egypt during Pharaoh time were not white. They were dark skin color. Well, Hollywood has told you Egyptians are white, and a lot of you people think they're white. No, those ones were not. Okay, these ones now, anyway, let's get back on track. In Egypt, the president is trying to destroy Donald Trump's plan. What is Donald Trump's plan? Donald Trump's plan was to take Gazans or people from Gaza and move them into Egypt. You know, in Gaza, there's been a lot of destruction, a lot of problems. So Trump's goal was to take people from Gaza, 2 million of them, and send some of them in Egypt and some other in Jordan. Now, the president of Egypt was not happy about that because Trump was not asking. He's ordering. So you're going to take these people, I'm going to sanction you. You're going to take these Gazan or Gaza people, or I'm going to cut aid. I mean,
do you withhold aid to these countries if they don't agree to take in the Palestinians?
Yeah, maybe. Sure. Why not? You mean if they don't agree? If they don't agree, I would conceivably withhold aid. Yeah.
Bullying people around, crazy stuff. People in Gaza have been through the most. You know, the country that you don't name bombed them. They were bombed really bad. However, imagine the cities being completely destroyed, then being told, okay, you cannot go back home. You have to go to another place. Trump said he wants to rebuild Gaza. Okay, he said he wants to make it a brand new Riviera, a brand new beautiful place. Now, if you're going to rebuild the place, what are you going to do with the people? You want to send the people to another place, to another country.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years.
Now, what tells us that you're going to ask them to come back to their homes after you rebuild? What is your benefit? Because it clearly, we can see that you don't like them very much. Now, why would you want to build their houses and their places for them to come back? Do they have money to pay you back? They clearly don't. Why would you want to do that? Well, the Egyptian president said, you know what? I don't want people from Gaza in my country. Okay? How about I build for them? How about I do the plan by myself?
بشأن موضوع تهجير الفلسطينيين وأود أن أطمئن الشعب المصري بأنه لا يمكن أبدا التساهل أو السماح بالبساس بالأمن القومي المصري وأطمئنكم بأننا عازمون على العمل مع الرئيس ترامب وهو يرغب في تحقيق السلام للتوصل إلى السلام المنشود القائم على حل الدولتين. هذه الأزمة اللي جاءت هذا الظلم التاريخي مش إخراج الشعب الفلسطيني من مكانه، لا، الظلم التاريخي اللي وقع للفلسطينيين وتم تهجيرهم قبل كده ولم يرجعوا إلى مناطق ثبت أو سبق التأكيد لهم إن هم ممكن يرجعوا تاني بعد ما يتم تعميرها. هل ممكن الكلام ده يتكرر مرة تاني؟ أنا ما افتكرش. بقولها بمنتهى الوضوح. ترحيل وتهجير الشعب الفلسطيني من مكانه هو ظلم لا يمكن أن نشارك فيه.
So he says his plan will take 3 phases and take up 5 years. Phase 1 should start after emergency Arab summit in Cairo on the 27th of February. Ahead of that, officials from Egypt, Qatar, and UAE and Jordan are to meet on Thursday in Saudi Arabia to discuss the proposed reconstruction. So this is the best way to destroy somebody's plan. Okay, Trump says he's going to put the money down so he can rebuild Gaza. Even the king of Jordan went to the United States of America to discuss with Trump to ask him to drop that idea of, reconstructing Gaza and sending people in his country. He says he's only willing to take about 2,000 children who are living with cancer. That was the offer from Jordan.
Mr. President, I think we have to keep in mind that there is a plan from Egypt and the Arab countries. We're being invited by Mohammed bin Salman to discussions in Riyadh. I think the point is how do we make this work in a way that is good for everybody? Right. Obviously, we have to look at the best interests of the United States, of the people in the region, especially to my people of Jordan. And we're going to have some interesting discussions today. I think one of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in a very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on the Gaza challenges.
They're not willing to take millions of people from, I mean, just imagine somebody coming and saying, oh, you're leaving your home, go to another country, we're going to fix your home for you, after we bombarded it. I mean, I'm just saying, because they've been sending the weapons to the country that you don't name. Doesn't even make any sense. And now we're going to Mozambique, fellas. Comentao, meu amigo. Yeah, okay. So in Mozambique, they speak Portuguese. That was Portuguese. Why do they speak Portuguese? Because Mozambique was colonized by the Portuguese. Look at the map. Here's Mozambique. Here's Angola. These are some of the... Here's Cape Verde. These are the countries that were colonized by the Portuguese. So when the Portuguese came, they forced black people to learn how to speak Portuguese. You know, in order for the white man to like you, you should be able to speak his language. That's what it is. Like in South Africa, the older people had to speak Afrikaans to get nicer consideration, to get jobs. You know what I mean? If you don't speak Afrikaans, you can't speak to the white man, the farmer at the time. And up until today, not many black South Africans speak Afrikaans, but the older blacks speak Afrikaans, because back in time, in order for you to have a job, you had to be Afrikaans lectured. Anyway, let's continue. In Mozambique, the U.S. Department government, the DOGE, this is a government office created by Donald Trump that's run by Elon Musk. The goal for this is to cut off every funding that is unnecessary. They've announced a new cut-off in support program for Mozambique, in this case, for male circumcision of $10 million. So the United States of America sends $10 million to Mozambique for male circumcision. That's crazy, fellas. How does that benefit the United States of America? Okay, anyway, Elon Musk is set to cut all these costs. You know, Donald Trump hired him. He says he's going to help him cut off all the costs, and he's been targeting stuff. Let me just remind you here that a few days ago, Musk, who heads the new department created by US President Donald Trump, has already denounced $50 million in condoms for HIV prevention sent to Mozambique.
You know, if it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, you know, why are we doing that?
So Mozambique has been receiving stuff, eh? You get circumcised for free. You know, you get $10 million for that. You get free condoms. Like, this is crazy stuff. Sorry, guys, I can't speak loud because I'm in a place where I need to be, you know, mindful of that. So what's going to happen? How the Mozambicans, you know, will the Mozambicans start circumcising traditionally? I mean, some places in Africa, they do traditional circumcision. They don't do the white people circumcision. Like Xhosas in South Africa, you know, Xhosas are cousins of Zulus. They, you know, very close people, but Xhosas do circumcision. They will use, apparently, I'm not 100% sure, they will use some utensil. Some people talk about rocks. I don't know how accurate that is, but apparently you have to go through that rocks together. Just imagine. So when, they have to do that, and you're not a baby when they do that. You must be like old enough, probably 16 or 17 or 18 years old. Then you go get circumcised. You're feeling everything. Crazy stuff, eh? And even in one tribe in Uganda, I believe, they do male circumcision like that. And when they do circumcision, you have to show manhood. And manhood is you shouldn't flinch when they catch you. Everybody's watching. If you flinch, it's a shame to the family. You shouldn't shift, move, or do any badge. When they cut, you must remain like a soldier like that. When you remain like that, then people are happy, then they cheer. And it's like you're putting the pride of the family on a test. Everybody comes there with anxiety, hoping that you don't flinch by the time they cut you off. Crazy stuff, fellas. So that's what it is. Ibrahim Traoré is doing a tremendous job creating schools for children. Beautiful thing, amazing. Not looking to enrich himself like many African presidents, as you know. He's not beating people up as well. None of that. Egypt president is taking over Trump's project. in building for Palestinians himself. He says he's going to do it himself. He doesn't want Trump to do that. The Palestinians can stay in Palestine. He can do the job. And Mozambique, that used to benefit $50 million worth of condoms. I don't know. How are you doing it, my brother? Are you using plastic bags or maybe baby socks or something? You just use some extra Vaseline. I don't know. Anyway.
Fellas, if there's one thing negative that repeatedly come back when it comes to African leaders, what is it? What do you think is the biggest flaws of African leaders? Yes, embezzlement. Wanting to eat, and eat some more. And they don't just eat by themselves. They make sure the first wife eat, the second wife eat, the third wife eat, the fourth wife eat, the fifth wife eat, the sixth wife eat. I can't even pronounce properly. It's crazy. Now, the problem is, in whichever society you go to, children tend to follow the lead of their father. And in this context, children are the lower-rate politicians. When they see the leaders eat, make the first wife eat, the second wife eat, the third wife eat, they also want to do the same thing. Embezzlement, money laundering, stealing from the government, using money from taxation for their own purposes, buying big houses, big cars, big field, traveling to Singapore, to Japan, and all that stuff. Now, something very interesting is happening in Gabon. Here's Gabon. I know this is your first time. You've never heard of Gabon before. Congratulations. Just right here. I've never heard of Gabon before. And this is where Gabon is. Or maybe you've heard of Gabon, but you don't know where Gabon is. Here is a map. Just write, I never knew where Gabon was. Here's a map. Beautiful place, lovely people. They speak French. Why do they speak French? I think by now, if you've been following us for a long time, you understand. Africans that speak French is because we were colonized by the French. All of these countries here were colonized by France. And the heritage they got from French, one of the biggest is speaking French. The better you speak French, the more you look intellectual. If your French is not so good, they think you're stupid, even though you're very clever in Zulu or in Swahili. Anyway, that's not the point. Let's get back on track. In Gabon, they've come up with something very, very interesting. To change things around, Gabon's government has implemented a new law requiring politicians and high-ranking officials to declare their assets with the threat of imprisonment for those who fail to comply. The measure is part of an effort to combat corruption, increase transparency, and build public trust in the politician system. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. My name is Zack. I don't know who you are, but thank you very much for stopping by. You appreciate it. You're looking for news in Africa? You're at the right place. Let's continue. Now, in Gabon, they've come up with a brand new law. Okay, all government officials, all public servants, you have to declare your possession before you get into power or you get into office. Before you work for government, you need to register what belongs to you. How many houses do you have? How many cars do you have? How many stuff you have? But yeah, because we don't want to see you 2 years down the line. You never used to have a house, you used to rent. Now all of a sudden you own a building. Yeah, because you see that a lot in Africa. It's a big issue, a big problem. One of the real problems for which many African countries are still shithole countries, I'm sorry. It's because politicians don't like the people. They like their stomachs and whatever it is between their legs. For the first wife, second wife, if it still functions. Anyway, let's get back on track. The new government in Gabon is a military government. Here is the president. Okay, this is the guy. His name is Brice Oligui. He took over power by force by overthrowing the previous president, whose name is Ali Bongo. He is Ali Bongo. Ali Bongo was very sick, but he just wanted to remain in power. He won the election for the third time, and the election was rigged. He cheated. Then Oligui said, no. Sorry, sir, we're going to kick you out. Who did Ali Bongo replace? He replaced this guy, Omar Bongo, his father, who stayed in power for how many years? Take a guess. Take a guess. Nah, take a guess. 41 years in power before he died. He died in power, basically. Then he took over, and then he wanted to go through election for the third time. That's when they ousted him. Now, the brand new government is transitional, so they're temporarily, supposedly. The goal is to change things before they hand things back into civilians. However, a lot of change have been made thus far. One of the major changes is this guy is fighting tremendously against theft and corruption and dishonesty among government officials. So the law applies to a broad range of officials, including presidential aides, ministers, and members of National Assembly. These individuals are now required to disclose the full extent of their financial holdings. The government has stated that failure to comply could lead to criminal charges, including fines and possible imprisonment. So if you don't name whatever you possess before you get into office, you're going to probably get in prison. Is this a good thing or not? If you think it's a good thing, let's clap them in the hand. Okay, congratulations. Great stuff. So how has this person been moving, this brand new president? Once he got into power, he went after the previous government family. If you don't know, in Africa generally, once somebody becomes a president, his entire family becomes rich. Yes, because they think they can take money from the government, the money that was supposed to build an hospital for the poor. They just use it to buy a Mercedes. I don't know if you get a Mercedes priced at an hospital. I mean, there are some very expensive Mercedes. Yeah, that's what they do because nobody can take them into account. Now, this brand new president who's a soldier went for the previous family of the president. First thing first, he threw the ex-president's wife and his son in jail for corruption, money laundering, and embezzlement. So they are still in jail. They've been there for over a year now. He's not playing. Just imagine the son of a president with a lot of money into his bank account. He just transferred money like, I need money. He just transferred money to his bank account. Now, this happens quite a lot in many African countries. Trust me, brother. But is this some cleanup that's necessary? Let's continue. Then they went after the Sylvia Bongo Valentin. They accused her of using her influence to gain $8 million from a company that's built infrastructure. An international company named Gisroute. What they do is they build road. Okay, so normally when you want to build road in the country, you try to get the contract for the local companies. But her, with her influence, made a promise to this big company from an external country, I believe France, that if you give me $8 million, I will make sure you get a contract. So they accused her of that, and now they're still battling in court about this. So this guy is not playing. Another thing that's very interesting about him, listen to what he said.
La revue des salaires et des avantages à la baisse. Celui qui n'est pas content, il dépose sa démission. Pour l'administrateur provisoire, c'est 5 millions et des avantages plafonnés. Au-dessus de ça, vous êtes sanctionné. Je ne veux plus entendre des salaires de 10 millions, de 15 millions. De 20 millions, c'est fini. Les généraux ici, même 5 étoiles, personne n'a un salaire de 5 millions. On atteint 3 millions quand on a 5 étoiles, et avec la durée. Et après, vous partez à la retraite. Et regardez notre grille. Donc 5 millions, c'est largement suffisant pour un Gabonais directeur de vivre avec sa famille. Je ne veux pas entendre les salaires de 7 millions ou 8 millions. Et le colonel Stéphane, je vous prie d'appliquer la grille avec fermeté et avec rigueur.
He came into power and said, if you don't like your salary, you can leave. All that money that you guys been getting, putting in your pocket, getting a first wife, a second wife, a third wife, a fourth wife, it's over. No more. He says, I'm a soldier. I'm not your friend. Okay. And he's telling somebody straight in, like, these people are not your friend. You need to do your job. Listen to him.
Jean Indundu, vous êtes un ancien de la boîte. Nous vous avons choisi pour essayer de ramener l'harmonie. Vous avez 33 ans de boîte, plus 4 ans à la Société de patrimoine, si je me trompe. J'attends de vous la fermeté, le courage, de me briser le système et de me faire tomber les têtes. Ils ne sont pas vos amis. C'est fini l'amitié. J'attends des audits et c'est ton défi. Retrouver une trésorerie comptable positive d'ici 2025. J'ai dit, je t'accorde 6 mois.
So basically what he's saying is, you are here to serve the people. You are not here to enrich yourself. My question for you fellas is this the kind of president Africa needs? Is this the kind of president Africa needs? Do you necessarily need democracy and elections to have the right president for your country? I'm just asking. I mean, he didn't unalive the previous president. The previous president was really, really sick. He had a stroke. He still wanted to be a president. Look at this guy. This is the previous president. Look how he was walking. He had a stroke. He couldn't even speak. He couldn't walk, but he still want to win the elections. Crazy stuff. Now, before we go down, in Gabon, they've been going some difficulties when it comes to electricity. For some reason, the government accused some people of sabotaging the electrical centers of the country. So they've been struggling with electricity and stuff.
Nous avons encore livré 10 groupes électrogènes récemment. et qui sont dans vos magasins. Je suis sidéré d'entendre sur 2500 agents de la SCG, vous n'arrivez pas à mettre ces groupes en marche depuis 2 mois qu'ils sont arrivés.
So now this president has found a way to cooperate with Guinea so Guinea can send them electricity. They are going to interconnect the electrical network so they can receive electricity from Guinea. In the meantime, instead of sleeping in the dark, hospital going without power, alternatively, until they find a serious solution, Guinea will be sending electricity to a big part of Gabon. I want you to tell me how you feel about this. I mean, should we always have presidents that have been supposedly elected by the people, but end up being not nice presidents? Or should we have people that sometimes come in power, force themselves and impose change? Let me know how you feel about this. Burkina Faso just arrested 3 guys with gold, about 26 kilograms of gold, hidden in the clothes. They were trying to cross the border to another country. The intelligence service found out about them and they tipped off. They followed them up and they clamped them. Congratulations. Well, Burkina Faso is doing a tremendous job. The gold is usually sold in the black market in UAE. Between 2012 and 2022, the UAE imported 2,500 tons of gold undeclared from export by African countries. That's worth about $115 billion, my brothers. That's a lot of money. A lot of money from African being smuggled out to the UEA. And well, UEA doesn't ask you to bring legitimate document because they're making money out of you. Faced with this colossal loss, many African countries have come together to find a way to block this illegal trafficking of minerals and riches going out of Africa. And in this context, Burkina Customs has made a major seizure on Tuesday, 17 December. The Burkina Faso security has intercepted 3 individuals with 28.6 kilograms of gold, hidden in the clothes, with an estimated value of 1.4 billion CFA franc. I think it's about $1 million. And apparently this intervention was made possible due to anonymous tip-off. Now, this is interesting, fellas, because if these guys could go with 28 kilograms of gold to the border trying to cross, it means they've done it many times before. I mean, you don't go with 28 kilograms of gold for the very first time. I mean, you're going to try a little bit, like maybe half a gram, 500 grams, a kilogram, maybe 2 kilos. I mean, 28, that's a lot of kilograms. It means they've done it many times before. And in most cases in Africa, they probably dealt with somebody from the crossing, some security guard or a member of, of the border to whom they will give some money and then they will cross. Now, I think there are many possibilities that may have occurred. Number one, they didn't pay that guy properly. Or the guy said, you're going to pay me, or I'm going to, yeah. And he was unhappy. They didn't meet this requirement and he told on them. That's number one. Number two is, well, maybe they're trying to, outplay him, without telling him, and they got caught. Number three, well, the guy was moved at the very last moment when they know, usually, look, I've seen many deals, okay? Even in some countries where people stay illegally, when they want to get out, there's a till, number of immigration officers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 20. And they will tip you off saying, listen, go to immigration officer number 20 or number 15, not nobody else. You wait for number 15. If they ask you to go to somebody else, you act like you want to pee. Or you ask something is wrong. You need to go to number whoever they gave you. Now, if that number, whoever is not there, you're going to be caught and, thrown in jail for staying illegally in the country. And I got this information from people that do illegal stuff. I need to be informed. What do you expect? Now we're moving to Niger. In Niger, a French company named Orano is taking the government to court, to an international court. Why? Because the government is blocking them from extracting Nigerian goods, which is uranium. So Orano has been exploiting the Nigerian uranium for the longest time. They used to buy it at 0.90 euros a kilogram. And they will buy the same uranium from the Canadian at 200 euros a kilogram. That's to show you they don't respect you. You are nobody. You're just a bunch of Africans. I mean, you don't give money to Africans. I mean, they just need some fruit and, some plant and they're going to survive. They don't need money for cars and stuff. Anyway, now, the government, which is new, this is a brand new government in Niger. They kicked out the previous government, which was with Mohamed Bazoum, this man right here. This is the man that was selling the uranium from the country at 0.80 euros a kilogram to the white fellas. Now, this other government, these soldiers, have refused. They've set the price to 200 euros a kilogram. Now they have an issue. Orano has been working for many, many years. However, they don't even pay tax properly. They don't pay whatever money they due to the government. It's usually, these big companies, how they operate is, they will come officially sign papers, but then instead of paying the amount of money they're supposed to pay to the government. They just call one or two people, one head of a department of mines or whatever. They give him some millions, let us pass, and that's it. So they've been cutting the government short of its money. Now, this new government of the military say, no, we are not going to work that way. Before you continue, you need to pay us all the money you owe us. All the corners you played in the past, not with us. And Orano is very upset about that. They say they're stopping them from working. They're going to go to an international court so they can find a solution to that. Yes, fellas, you can have a company in your country, but you still respond to international rules of business. So according to Orano, the financial situation is deteriorating a little more every day, and due to the lack of exportability due to the closure of the border since the putsch in July 23. So Orano is accusing the government of being the reason why they cannot operate appropriately. Just remember, Niger is blocked. It's Niger. All these countries here, these are ECOWAS countries, don't like Niger. So they've blocked. You can see on the map, Niger doesn't have any sea. Niger is not bordered by the sea. There's no sea next to Niger. So therefore, if they want to do an export or import, they need to go through these other countries. Now, these other countries, as you see here, don't like Niger right now, so the border's closed. And Niger cannot export like they would like to. Now, Orano says the reason why we're not making money, we're not operating, is because Niger has got issues with everybody. And they're blaming Niger, they're taking them to court. So they're accusing Niger of blocking an equivalent of 300 million euros worth of minerals. And clearly, Niamey has not hidden its intentions and its desire to reorganize the mining sector and also to turn toward Russia. They want to be exploiting their own mines, looking after their own mineral, making money out of it for their own people. And also they want to give an opportunity to Russians to come, and exploit and see how much money they will make with the Russians. Good move or bad move? Let me know how you feel about it. Now we go to Ghana. In Ghana, the ex-president Nana Akufo-Addo, this man right here, has been accused of giving land to his family members. I mean, it's always stories like that from African. It's crazy. Africans become president, they think they're kings. So, Samuel Ekujo Alabwa, member of the parliament from the North Togo, sorry Ghanaians, I know I murdered that name, has accused President Nana Akufo-Addo of transferring public land to his daughter and niece and calling for a full investigation before January 7, 2025. So this man, who's a parliamentarian, is accusing the ex-president of ceding land to his daughter. It's crazy. Africans love that. They will take land from the government and give it to him. It's just insane. I mean, this man looks like a serious president for once. But if you listen to him and see things he did, you'll be shocked. This is what he said about Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. You listen to this.
Today, Russian mercenaries are on our northern border. Burkina Faso has now entered into an arrangement to go along with Mali in employing the Wagner forces there. I believe a mine in southern Burkina has been allocated to them as a form of payment for their services. Prime Minister of Burkina Faso in the last 10 days has been in Moscow. And to have them operating on our northern border is particularly distressing for us in Ghana. We can have you as a partner in confronting these threats. It is very important that ECOWAS and the West African area remains a democratic space. There's a reason for the actions we took over the coup d'etats in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Guinea. And ECOWAS has been very consistent in refusing to deal with these governments because of the undemocratic nature of their accession to power.
So clearly these countries are countries trying to free themselves, but this man didn't like it because he's pro-America. He's talking like a sub-slave. We really need your help to come save us from the people that actually want to save us. Yeah, that's the man. But now, apparently, even though he's been trying to look clean, he's been giving land to his family members. Now, if he's been giving land, what else has he given? Question mark. Now they want an investigation about do you support it? I think I support it. And now we're going to Malawi. Here's Malawi. Beautiful country, lovely people. There's plenty of them in South Africa too. I mean, look, I know South Africa quite well. I've been there many, many times. I've got investment in South Africa, just so you know. Yeah. So I have to go to South Africa quite a lot because I have investment, I have properties, I have things. So I have business, I have people that I hire. I hire locals, especially, give them opportunities. It's a good thing. I like it. Anyway, Malawi has got an issue right now. They're arresting journalists who are telling the truth about the corruption that's happening in Malawi. A man named Macmillan has been arrested for telling the truth about, corruption and funny things happening in the government. And he's the second journalist to be arrested under the regime of Lazarus Chakwera. The first one was Gregory Gondwe for Platform for Investigative Journalism in Malawi. Now, why has this Macmillan been arrested? Macmillan been arrested because he went for a big tycoon in Malawi named Batatawala. Who's Batatawala? Batatawala was accused of operating a network of proxy companies to evade law and secure government contracts. So this man has been working with government contracts, making money out of tenders. Tenders is basically, the government wants 9,000 toilet paper to wipe their bum. Yes, sorry, I couldn't find something different. People can come and say, I can do the job, if you give me the money. The government will give them $1 million to fund 9,000 toilet paper for them to wipe their bum. Now, whoever they choose is the person that's going to do this business. Now, this guy, Batatawala, has been doing a lot of these type of businesses. Obviously, he's not going to spend $1 million to buy toilet paper. He probably going to spend 100,000, and the 900,000 remaining is going to share it with the person that gave him the business. Do you get it? So that's fraud into the government. I'm going to give you the tender. You're going to give me the money back, or some of it at least. That's how they operate. Now, this guy was investigating about this stuff, trying to clean the country, make sure the country is good, people profiting from things, point fingers at the wrong site. Now, unfortunately, they sent the police to come and arrest the guy. Imagine somebody telling the truth on why did he speak out? He spoke out because this Batatawala was already banned by High Court. He cannot do business with government because he was found guilty. Now, what he did was he went and created proxy companies and allocated it to his children or some relative so they can continue doing the same thing. They can still allocate those proxy company. They say, government is not going to give money to Batatawala, but we're giving to a different company named X. Now, X also belongs to the nephew of Batatawala. You don't even know that because Batatawala opened it. Now, this guy, Macmillan, said the truth about this stuff and the police came and arrested him. Why? Because the police is in the pockets of Batatawala. Now, this is very sad because this is not a special situation in Africa. You see it in many, many places. You cannot tell the truth. So in recent move to intimidate reporters, the police arrested Macmillan, a former journalist for Malawi 24, over the story that he reported an allegation against Abdulim Karim Batatawala, a tycoon who is facing various corruption and fraud charges. The story detailed how Batatawala, despite being barred from the court, allegedly set up proxy companies to continue doing business with the Malawi government. So free this man, free Macmillan, Africa will not move forward with this kind of spirit. In Africa, fortunately, if you're powerful enough, you can get the police to arrest somebody because that guy is the guy your woman actually like. She doesn't like you, she likes him. So you ask the police to arrest, and they put him in jail. Many countries in Africa are shithole countries. Just like Trump is right. I'm being honest with you. There are many countries in Africa I will not leave. I cannot. You can't have an argument with a policeman. There's no law for you. You're going to jail. They're going to beat you up. Nobody's going to help you. You can't have a discussion with somebody who's society, who's got money. He's going to call the general on you. Imagine a country you can see generals. There's no war, but generals and colonel working on shithole countries. How do you want to know a shithole country? You see generals and colonels and captains walking down the street with girlfriends. That's what it is. Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. It was a great pleasure. Please subscribe before you leave. YouTube say you guys watch, but you not subscribe. Why you do that? Why you do that, man? That's wrong. That's like cheating. Why you come watch my video? You don't even like. Come on, don't watch. If you're gonna be my brother, then you gotta drop something. I mean, there are people behind the camera. These guys need to be paid and stuff like that. You need to drop a comment so we can continue. If you like this, you can't like this while hiding yourself. Either you like it properly or you don't like it. Well, if you're here, you still listen to this crap I'm talking about right now, it means you like it. So if you like it, just drop a comment. Say, hey, Zack, you're doing a good job.
After being bullied by somebody repeatedly, how do you react to that? Do you sit down saying this person is much bigger than me, therefore I dare not to challenge them? Or do you at some point say, you know what, I think enough is enough. After all, we're all going to die anyway. If you're going to kill me, then rather kill me. But I'm not going to stand for this anymore. Because sometimes when you allow a bully to do things the way you want to do, he won't just bully you. He will try to bully you in front of your children. And later on, perhaps bully your children. Now, who are you as a parent? How will you be defined in the future if you allow somebody else to bully your children just because he's stronger than you? Well, South Africa has hit back at the United States of America by forcing tax on Google, Facebook, and ChatGPT. Yes, fellas, South Africa is standing up. They say they need to tax Google, Facebook, and ChatGPT. You are certainly asking yourself why they're going to do this. South Africa is taxing Google. Why? A competition commission went and investigated, and they found out that the presence of this big tech in South Africa actually slows down the productivities of local media, therefore making them lose money. I'm going to explain. Number one, the commission found that while platforms like Google, Facebook boost traffic to online websites, digital advertising revenue cannot compensate the loss experienced by the shifting models, meaning Google and them are making more money than the local news in South Africa. Number two, the commission has found that the result in South Africa is a shrinking newsroom and 50% reduction in journalism jobs. So there's no more jobs as journalists because there's Google, Meta, and all that stuff happening in South Africa. Number three, meanwhile, digital platforms control how visible news media can be. You may have a news media that is normal, okay, that has an office. If you have to put it online to compete with other people, Meta or Google or any other entity will define how visible you're going to be, as opposed to physically when people have to go by their newspaper. Therefore, Meta, Google, and all of that have more power over local medias than local medias have over the country. Number four, the commission found that local news media does benefit from traffic referral from digital platform totaling 200 million rand. However, a company like Google benefits from South African news content to a tune of 800 million rand. Yes, South Africa acknowledged we are gaining 200 million, but you are getting 800 million for us. And this is definitely not acceptable. The South African Commission also notes that the AI that belongs to all these platforms have been learning from local websites without authorization. Therefore, they should be gifted some of the money generated by these systems. So, in other words, South Africa is hitting back at the United States of America. What does South Africa want? They want Google to pay between 300 and 500 million rand. They want to negotiate AI deals to ensure fair compensation for AI training, so you just can't take data for free. Allowing local media to negotiate funding and policies with Google directly. Okay, South Africa is pushing back. Why? Because a few days ago, America, through Donald Trump, cuts the aid to South Africa. They stopped the aid after Trump accused South Africa of taking land from white people without compensation.
It's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
After Donald Trump accused South Africa of taking land from white people with no compensation, this is how Cyril Ramaphosa responded back.
Are concerned about the potential impact of the decision by the United States government to suspend some of its funding for HIV and TB programs in African countries for 90 days. Now, this funding that we get accounts for about 17% of our country's HIV spend. We will not be deterred. We are, as South Africans, a resilient people, and we will not be bullied.
It was clearly a war of words between the two countries. America accusing South Africa of being a racist country, while South Africa saying we are strong, we are not going to give up. Now, fellas, you know, a couple of days ago, there was a big meeting, the G20 meetings. This is the meeting that unites all the big boys in the world. Okay, all the big countries come together and discuss the future. For the very first time in Africa, it was hosted in South Africa. Guess what happened? America did not show up. They boycotted it. Okay? Secretary of State Marco Rubio clearly said he's not going to South Africa because it's not out of the interest of America to go to South Africa. That is a very clear message. Okay, I'm having a party here, you're invited, but no, I'm not going. Why? Because you're sick? No, I'm not sick, but I'm just not going. It means I don't value you. Or maybe I have an issue with you. I need to send you a very clear message that I'm not one of those people you play with. Oh, matter of fact, yeah, let me show you who I am. How did Cyril Ramaphosa react to that? Cyril Ramaphosa is very diplomatic. In a very diplomatic way, he said,
This is not a boycott. This can be ascribed to a whole number of reasons, which he has stated, which we note. And we have resolved that we will, in the diplomatic process, be able to have those matters discussed, to have those matters dealt with, so that we are able to iron out wrinkles that may have appeared in our relationship.
You can clearly hear what he said. It was not a boycott. Was it not a boycott? Well, it's like somebody slapped you in the face and now, okay, it wasn't a slap. I think he was just trying to push my head. That's what it sounded like. Well, he doesn't want to look too strong while he has to keep face and not look too weak. But in other way, the Minister of Energy in South Africa responded. While Cyril Ramaphosa had to be the good cop, his minister had to be the bad cop. He says South Africa is open to nuclear project bids from Russia or Iran. Okay? You see where they're hitting. Oh, we've got Russia and Iran. Why did they say that? Because South Africa and the United States of America have a nuclear deal en route. Well, the nuclear deal exists between SA and America. However, the deal expired in 2022. Now they're renegotiating the deal. The deal has been written. It is ready, but not implemented yet. Now they're telling them, don't try to intimidate us. The message is very clear. If you intimidate us, we have another option. We have Iran we can work with on the nuclear. Yes, South Africa has had its own nuclear project for a long time. They've worked on nuclear technology and many other things, while the nuclear bomb of South Africa was dismantled many years after. Well, I don't know why they did that, because everybody needs the nuclear bomb to be respected today. However, the message is very clear. If you push us too hard, we have other options. So South Africa, in response from the pressure from the United States of America, have now urged that Google, Twitter, and Meta and ChatGPT to start paying a tax because they're making way too much money in the country. And their presence is slowing down journalism and local media outlets. How is that possible? Because tech companies are the distributors of news today. Therefore, they choose where to place you and where not to place you. South Africa has also told Twitter they need to regulate their algorithm and slow down with misinformation. Why? Because Elon Musk was supporting the rhetoric that says that white South Africans are persecuted, and all that fire went from Twitter. So you're going to pay a tax in South Africa. Number two, we're going to negotiate your AI learning from our content. Number three, we want our news outlet to discuss directly with Google. Number four, we have an option to the nuclear bid. We can talk to the Russians or the Iranian. Now you tell me what you want to do. Now what do you think this is going to be? How do you think Donald Trump is going to react to this? Is Cyril Ramaphosa doing the right thing by pushing back on somebody that weighs way too much and trying to get his way on everything? Or do you think he's doing a little too much by presenting them, I have a possible friend in Iranians? Will Donald Trump back down, or will he inflict now more damage by not just touching the aid but by also crippling the trade? President Donald Trump has suspended all military aid to Ukraine.
I just think he should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin. We've given them much more than Europe, and Europe should have given more than us because, as you know, that's right there. That's the border. This country really was like the fence on the border. It was very important to Europe, and I'm not knocking Europe. I'm saying that just they were a lot smarter than Joe Biden.
This is a major blow to the Ukrainian and the European Union. Absolutely insane. Like I said before, there are no friends among nations. There are only interests. Now, why has this occurred? You're certainly asking yourself a question. There was a major situation at the White House between Donald Trump, his vice, and the Ukrainian president. And the Ukrainian president was not willing to dance at their song. What song was that? Trump wanted Ukraine to sign a deal, sign a peace deal right now.
But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out.
And this peace deal was not easy to sign. Why wasn't the peace deal easy to sign? Because the president of Ukraine was not willing to sign 50% of the minerals and the revenue coming from anything related to the major wealth that Ukraine has to the United States of America. Now, this is a major blow, okay? You certainly know that. One of the reasons why Ukraine is still sustaining itself in this fight is because of the support they're getting from the United States of America. Now, how much money is America giving? America has given $65 billion that is registered publicly. And Europe has given something. How much? Europe has given 51 billion. Keep in mind, this is about 27 different countries putting money together for Ukraine. President Trump has suspended all US military to Ukraine following the contentious meeting with the Ukrainian President Zelensky at the White House. The decision aimed to pressure Ukraine into accelerating peace negotiation with Russia. Trump expressed dissatisfaction with Zelensky, perceived the lack of gratitude, and warned that Zelensky won't be around for long unless he agrees to a peace deal. So, as you can see, they can push you into agreeing to something if they give you things to survive. But we all saw the meeting between Trump and Zelensky. Zelensky was not a pushover either, okay? That meeting was very, very complicated. Was Zelensky right to refuse to sign the deal? Because Zelensky's concern was a major one. He wanted reassurance. He wanted security. He wanted certitude from America. What did Zelensky want? Zelensky wanted the United States of America to say what they would do in case Russia ever invaded again Ukraine. And Donald Trump gave no straight answer. All Donald Trump said was, Russia is not going to attack.
Asking what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama.
After leaving the White House in a way that it was unacceptable for many persons, he went straight to the United Kingdom, where he held a meeting with European presidents. And during that meeting, as you can see, they were very friendly with him, supporting, hey, buddy, how you doing? I'm sorry you had to go through all that, but hey, we got you. We got you. The Europeans sat together, pushing back on what Trump had just did in encouraging Zelensky. They say, we're going to give you funding. The British Prime Minister promised to give $2 billion in funding to the Ukrainian president.
And today I'm announcing a new deal, which allows Ukraine to use £1.6 billion of UK export finance to buy more than 5,000 air defense missiles.
Now, fellas, let me remind you here. The goal was very simple. It was for Zelensky to travel to the United States, have a meeting with Trump, just say some nice things that Donald Trump want to hear. He's got this big ego, and sign the deal. Make sure everybody's safe. Then you can fly back to Europe and speak to the Europeans. However, that's not how it happened. Zelensky was very stern, very strong. Maybe his ego against Trump's ego. There are two big people with two big egos. Nothing positive could have come ever that. After Zelensky arrived in Europe, when people accepted him and they, clapped his hand for him, told him how strong he was, or the European president telling him it's okay, if he drops you, we got you. Forgetting that in the meantime, the British Prime Minister was at the White House and had a discussion with Trump, but in a very funny and comical way. Same for the French president, but they became suddenly strong when they were gathering by themselves. The Ukrainians did not understand the game. Now, the aid is gone. No money for Ukraine. How are you going to fight the Russians? And let's keep in mind here that Russia outnumbers the Ukrainians in terms of 1 to 8, 5 to 1 in artillery, and 10 to 1 in terms of tank. How are you going to fight the Russians without the support of America? Very difficult. So now the Ukrainian president is ready to negotiate. Listen to him.
Так ми не робимо ніяких кроків назад.
We are not making any step back. Okay, so what he's saying is, I'm ready to speak, but I want Trump to speak to me in a nicer way. Listen to that.
Наша політика бути послідовною, незважаючи на те, що сталося раніше, незважаючи на це, ми конструктивні. Якщо ми домовилися, що вона буде підписана,
We want constructive discussions. That's what he's saying.
Підписана з нашого боку, ми готові підписувати. Я, чесно кажучи, думаю, що і Сполучені Штати будуть готові. Напевно, потрібен час проаналізувати якісь речі. Я думаю, що наші відносини будуть продовжені, тому що це більше, ніж відносини одного чи іншого моменту. Ми повинні бути.
We must be open. That's Zelensky we're hearing. He said we must be open. Let's continue.
Відкритими. Україна країна не найбільша в світі, хоча всі бачать, як вона бореться за свою незалежність і свободу. Ми розраховуємо на допомогу Сполучених.
Well, we count on assistance of the United States of America. That's very contrary to what he said. We've been standing alone when he was talking to Trump. He said, we've been strong. We've been standing by ourselves.
Coming out okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you through
I
this.
said,
And now he's saying we count on assistance from the United States of America without a doubt. Let's go.
Штатів Америки. Безумовно. І я вважаю, що припинення такої допомоги – це допомога буде тоді виключно Путіну. І тому вважаю, що Сполучені Штати, представники цивілізованого світу, лідери.
It says because of that, the United States is a representative of the civilized world. What does he mean? Is he saying the Russians are not civilized? Let's go.
Цього світу, і думаю, вони точно не будуть допомагати Путіну. Якщо президент Сполучених Штатів Америки запросить мене.
If the president of the United States of America will invite me for a constructive dialogue, you're facing somebody that's clearly much stronger than you, but you don't want to lose face. So you got to speak in a way that's respectful so you can keep your head high. If the president of the United States will invite me for a constructive dialogue, because the previous one was not constructive. So I'm willing to come to talk again. I want to come. I want your money, because without your money, it can only help Putin. But I want you to call me again. But I want a constructive dialogue. But I'm ready to sign all the documents you're asking for. Let's go.
Конструктивним діалогом я представляю інтереси країни, яка дуже сильно залежить від підтримки, від партнерства. І тому
I represent the interests of the country that heavily depends on support from partners. So he's acknowledging here that Ukraine heavily depends on support from partners. Without that support, it's going to be very difficult.
з конструктивним діалогом я представляю інтереси країни, яка дуже сильно залежить від підтримки, від партнерства. І тому, а вже ж, якщо мене запросять для конструктивного діалогу, для вирішення реальних проблем, для серйозних запитань і реальних рішучих дій і відповідей, я буду через повагу до Америки, до американського народу, і до президента, і до...
Fellas, let me remind you here. President Zelensky became president in 2019 and spent 3 years fighting a war. It's been very hard for him. At a certain point, he was compared to Winston Churchill, and very later on, he was called a dictator. Now, even though the Prime Minister of Britain said 4 things that are very interesting: keep arming Ukraine, keep sanctioning Russia, ensure Ukraine's security, they also acknowledge that they will not be able to do that without the help of the United States of America. Now, what we need to remember here is the treatment Zelensky got in the United States of America. They asked him a question. President Trump said to him, "You are well dressed today." Okay? Yeah. I don't know if you say that to somebody like, "Oh, you look much better today. You're not wearing that green stuff, stinky thing you've been wearing all." I don't think it's stinky. He probably has many of them he wears. When he got into a discussion, even the representative, not the president, they were picking at him, asking him why didn't he put a suit on to come and meet the president of the republic. Listen to this. To me, this is one of the highest level of disrespect.
Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, you have problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not respecting.
I don't have such.
I mean, you're not talking to your counterpart. You're talking to some dude who works in the government, speaking to a president, addressing him like that. Like, why are you dressed this way? That shows you they wanted to beat him up mentally. And surely he stood very strong. But however, can he stand strong when it comes to money? It's very difficult. Should the Ukrainians just sign this peace deal to bring an end to this incredible war that is devastating to everybody? Did you see this coming? Did you see ever Mr. Zelensky coming back and say, "Hey, we need help. We're ready to sign. Let's finish up this war"? Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a great pleasure. From a hero that wanted to stay strong to facing Donald Trump, who tried to break him down. And now he's coming back. He said, "I'm willing to talk. Let's sit down and discuss." All of the world and Africa is tired. We just want to live in peace. We don't want to have to choose sides.
You remember Zimbabwe? This is Zimbabwe.
They took land from white people many years ago.
Yes, the land, they occupied the land illegally. They seized the land from our people. And therefore, the process of reform, land reform, involved their having to hand over the land.
Why did they take the land? They took the land because white people took the land. Of course, Africa is black people. White people took the land. Now, after taking the land back from white people by force, they were sanctioned.
Shame, 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 we say, to the United States of America. Shame, 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 we say, to Britain and its allies, who have continued to impose sanctions, illegal sanctions upon our people. Zimbabwe is for Zimbabwe.
Now, they are begging to pay the money back to white people. So Zimbabwe has announced officially that they will compensate foreign investors who lost assets in the country in a controversial land reform in early 2000s. Crazy stuff, isn't it?
The issue of the compensation of farmers who are governed by the BIPA arrangements. This is a bilateral protection and investment promotion agreement. This compensation is enshrined in the Constitution. And we're just honoring what is already in the Constitution, and they're being compensated for both improvements on the land and the land itself, because they brought in their investments into the country. So this is compensation for the whole investment.
Well, thank you very much for stopping by. You are very much appreciated. My name is Zack. I don't know who you are, but yeah, if you watch this video till the end, we're gonna like each other, no doubt about that. It's crazy, isn't it? It's scary, you know. I mean, this is very different from what's happening in South Africa, but we're gonna dive into this and understand. Here is Zimbabwe. Look at the map. It's right here at the bottom of Africa. Not the bottom, but the bottom, not your bottom. Anyway, in Zimbabwe, many years ago, white people came as colonialists, same as many African nations. You know, they went to South Africa, they were in Congo, they were in Uganda, Kenya, you name it. Europeans decided to come to Africa for one reason. They discovered that Africa was wealthy. It had beautiful land, it had beautiful waters, it had very, very interesting forests, woods, timber, underground riches, and many other things. However, Europeans say we don't want to go to Africa and fight each other in a way that we fought each other back home in Europe, because Europeans, trust me, they murdered each other bad for many, many years. Now they say, let's go to Africa. You know, Africa's got so many things, and those people are primitive. You know, they have nothing to offer. They're just black. They run on the field. They do nothing, and they're almost naked. Let's go to Africa. Let's split Africa. They sat in Berlin, 1885, and they have a discussion. Some say, we're taking France, okay? We're taking all this type of land. They divided the land. France took this. Britain took these ones. Portuguese took these countries. And Spanish took those countries. So everybody took something, but the Russians were not there. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's get back on track. So they came to Africa to loot. They created what they call countries. Back Africa used to be like this. Just a big land. Yeah, there was no countries. Then when they came in 1885, it became like this. That's when they created countries. There was Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Ghana, Nigeria. It never used to be that way. There's even people in Nigeria who don't want to be Nigerians because they feel so different from other people. The Biafra people, yeah, these are the Biafra people. They don't want to be Nigerians. They feel like the Europeans forced them to be part of Nigeria. This is the same thing as many other places. In South Africa, you find people that speak Setswana. In Botswana, you find people that speak Setswana. So South Africa, Botswana, you can see the map. It's the same language, literally the same people. But some of them find themselves now in what you call today South Africa. Some find themselves in what you call Botswana. Now, however, let's get back on track. When they possessed the land in Zimbabwe, they made themselves rich. How did they make themselves rich? They worked the land. They were agriculture. They had cows. They had sheep, but they also had potatoes, tomatoes, and many other things. They provided the food to Zimbabwe. 10% of the people had the majority of the land in Zimbabwe.
Gained 67 seats.
Now, when the independence came in Zimbabwe in 1980, a new president emerged, Robert Mugabe.
So, Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe.
Robert Mugabe came and said, okay, we need land reform. We need to change things. We cannot have white people possessing everything. We need black people to have land too. You can't just have land, yeah? Then he put pressure on the people.
The British are threatening to withdraw their companies. We say the sooner you do it, the better.
Robert Mugabe took most of the land by force from the whites. He was a smart man. Mugabe had apparently 5 master's degrees. Yes, I think 5 master's degrees. He was the most educated, formally, president in the world. And also, let me put it this way for you. Zimbabweans, until a later stage, were the most educated Africans in Africa.
We are privileged that in Zimbabwe, we are the leading literate country. In fact, in terms of literacy, we are number 1 on the African continent. And that's not according to us, but according to the United Nations.
When Mugabe took the land from white people, they were not happy. A lot of them crossed into South Africa. Some of them went into Zambia. You can see the map. Now, after that, America and Britain were very upset because Mugabe took the land and gave it to the blacks. And they sanctioned Zimbabwe.
What have the British to do with Zimbabwe? Who are you? You bloody idiots.
We're not allowing them to exchange, to buy. They kicked them off SWIFT, and SWIFT is the system that allows you to do money transfer from one country to another. I mean, if you want to send money to your mom through your computer from London to Lagos, you're going to use SWIFT. SWIFT is the system that allows you to do that. Zimbabwe was kicked off the system because they took land from white people. Some people say the reason why Zimbabwe couldn't do it is also because a lot of Zimbabweans, when they got the land from white people, it was actually the president's friends and family that acquired the land from white people. Not knowing what to do with it, not having the proper training, they ruined everything. That's, of course, addition to the fact that the country was sanctioned. Now, Zimbabwe's been going through the most. It's a very difficult situation. Most of Zimbabweans don't stay in Zimbabwe. Even though they lack the country, they have to cross into South Africa looking for opportunities.
December, all the Zimbabweans, including me, number 1, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay.
They work as waitresses, they work as security guards, as cleaners, as gardeners. They do some really low-level jobs to survive. And then every month, by the end of the month, they will cross back to Zimbabwe with a pack of bread, sugar, honey, milk, and stuff like blankets. That's how they do. So they cross into South Africa to work and come back to Zimbabwe. And that's created mayhem. It has created a problem between many South Africans who have not necessarily gone to higher schools, who needs to work as security guard and waitresses and cleaners. So it's very difficult.
With the greatest kindness, we are not telling government how to do this. We are asking the South African government to help us with permits because we are here to work, not to stay here for life.
We have little opportunities, and all these people are coming from their country into our country because their country kicked out white people that we have in our country. Now, the Zimbabweans have decided, you know what, we think we're going to change our mind. We want to pay the white people.
So the land question in Zimbabwe has got a colonial imperial nature which resides in London. It is not like the South African issue, which is an internal South African affair, because Afrikaners are Africans and we consider them as Africans, and they also want to be considered as Africans.
Zimbabwe government said Wednesday it will compensate white foreign investors who lost assets in the country in controversial land reform in early 2000, but were protected by bilateral investment protection agreements. Zimbabwe Finance Minister Mthuli Ncube said that statement that the government will pay 94 farmers from countries such as Switzerland, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, and former Yugoslavia. The aim is to clear $146 million of liability to these farmers. That is what they're looking to pay, $146 $46 million. This is a very important issue for our arrear clearance and debt resolution process for Zimbabwe, because some of the countries for which we want support their farmers, their investors into Zimbabwe were affected by the land reform program in early 2000. Okay. A few days ago, South Africa, was sort of pushed, brutalized by Donald Trump because they say South Africans are trying to take land from white people. Donald Trump says South Africa was a racist country. They're trying to persecute white people and they're going to feel the wrath of that. He didn't say it that way, but yeah.
The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land.
He put a lot of pressure on South Africa. And President Cyril Ramaphosa came on Twitter to say, we are not taking land from nobody. We do not intend to take land from anybody because we understand what it feels like having your land taken by force. Clearly, he was trying to say that to ease the pressure. However, that didn't work because Elon Musk shot back by saying, why do you have racist policies in the first place? Now, many people are asking themselves questions. Is this being done by Zimbabwe because they fear what has just happened to South Africa from happening to them? Is this being done by Zimbabwe because the president clearly wants to be on the good side of Donald Trump? Because he's voiced himself previously showing interest in working with Donald Trump. Is he trying to find a way to not piss Donald Trump off? Or because Zimbabwe's gone through the most, is he trying now to find a way to secure trust from investors by repaying the former investors the money they had lost by buying assets in Africa that doesn't necessarily belong to them? I'm just asking. I mean, for you to function well in the economy as it is today, you need to have a report that's positive. Zimbabwe does not have a positive report since they took the land back by force. A land that was taken from them by force by the white man. Now, for Zimbabwe to grow now, even though Mugabe is passed a long time ago, they have to pay the money back to the people they took their land back from in order for other people to perceive them as genuine and honest. Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.